Good morning, and welcome to this Tuesday morning, June 30th, our second day of class in this online version of Com-100, both the 101 and the 102. Just wanted to say some good news and bad news about your informal speeches. The good news is I saw some really good speeches. And again, it's fun listening to you and watching you talk about these favorite vacations or favorite hobbies or why you chose the major or where was your favorite place to live. These are always great for me because, as we get into the public speaking chapters next week and we get ready for formal speeches, I want to get an idea of what it is that you look like and how you deliver those speeches and your confidence level and everything else. Especially because I want you to start off talking about something not in a formal sense, but at least something that you know just a little bit about, and that, of course, is yourselves. And as we talk about next week, that's going to be one of the keys to delivering good, effective speeches is having great knowledge of the topic. And of course, as we saw with yesterday's speeches, a lot of you have great knowledge, talking about yourselves and what you like and what you are interested in, and the other topics that you guys are talking about, which all came across very well. Now, the bad part is, out of the 44 students that are registered in both classes, I only received, or at least had seen, 23 speeches. All right. This is way down from what happened in the summer one session when I thought, oh my God, it's this first semester with online, it's going to go crazy. And we actually did very well. Now, there were about 5 or 6 of you who did send it in on time, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to view it. But otherwise, there are a lot of you who just simply didn't do it. Now, I understand the world's been turned upside down. And a lot of you registered for this class as early as like the first week of April for summer two. And maybe you've forgotten about it. Maybe, again, your life's been turned upside down. I know some people, and we talked about this before the first summer session. There are some of you who, when you registered for the class, you had one job or you had your life scheduled one way, and now, of course, all of a sudden, it's been turned completely around. But on the other hand, I did send out the video last week, a full week ago, saying this is how we're going to be doing this. Be prepared for my email on Monday, and then Monday morning, of course, you open up your email boxes. And also make sure, people, you are checking your email. I know for some of you, email is like a thing of the past. But before you go check Instagram to see how many likes you got on your photos, please check your emails. Because, again, that's what we're doing for this course. That's how this course is going to operate. And it's worked very well so far. And I did receive a lot of good speeches. As a matter of fact, you saw, or you're seeing 5 of them that I've attached to this email. 5 really good speeches by 5 of your classmates. Some of them are from the 101. Some of them are from the 102. Now, typically, I will just go ahead and not allow the 15 points for anybody who didn't get their speech in yet. But you know what? We're in a whole new realm. So anyone who hasn't gotten their speech in yet, your informal speech, get it to me as soon as possible, and you'll get your 15 points. And I also really stress, take the time to go ahead and open up a free YouTube account. Start your own little YouTube channel. Okay, it doesn't take that much. Okay, I know some people said they struggled with it and everything else, but just take your time. I mean, remember, there are 12-year-olds who are making buku bucks with their own YouTube channels. So take your time, get it set up. I mean, let's be honest here, people. You're looking at a professor who used to have a lot of 8-tracks. All right. And only until recently did I not have my 8-track player anymore. And I was able to start my own YouTube channel. So you guys, if you take your time, you can go ahead and do it. And it's just much easier. You don't have to worry about the file being too big to email, or, it fails to send or whatever. You just upload it to your YouTube account. You send me the link, and then I can see it. Okay? Just be careful of the privacy settings. Please do not send me a video where it's private and I can't view it. Because if I can't view it, then I can't grade it. Now, again, we're only going to do this a couple more times. The informal speech, and then, of course, the informative and persuasive. But those are formal speeches. And you want me to be able to open up those formal speeches that happen. We start talking about informative speeches next week. So go ahead and try to get that done. It's just much easier for both of us, for me to be able to see your speeches online. Well, now let's move on to Chapter 1. Oh, by the way, before we move on to Chapter 1, just a little thing. It's a tiny little thing, but it's a little thing. Please, when I send a video, watch the video. If I send an assignment sheet, read the assignment sheet. Okay? Listen, I absolutely love doing what I do. I'm going into my 22nd year at Bergen come September. And I actually did this for 3 or 4 years before that out at Indiana State. But the one thing I don't love about this job is when people email me questions where the answer is already in your email. Okay? So make sure when I send a video, watch the video. If I send an assignment sheet, read the assignment sheet. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about Chapter 1. Now, I don't expect you to have your textbooks yet, okay? But you do have to get them as soon as possible. Strongly recommend that you get the online version because it's always the most inexpensive version of the textbook. And if all the information about the textbook is on the front page of your course outline. And what they talk about is they talk about some of the different types of communication there are, whether it's intrapersonal, which is communication within oneself, interpersonal, which is kind of like a one-on-one communication, small group, and then there's public and mass communication. Okay, all the different type of communication. But the one thing I like about communication is, in order for communication to be effective, they have a lot of different communication models. And there are a couple that are listed in your textbook, but the one I like the most is called the interactive model. That's the one that I sent you. Okay, and as you see with the interactive model, you have a sender who then sends a message to a receiver. The receiver then interprets that message, assigns some meaning, and sends feedback to the sender. And if it's the feedback that the sender is looking for, then the communication is both successful and satisfactory. Let's say, for example, if we were sitting in a classroom, like say I'm sitting next to you in the classroom, and the professor starts lecturing, and I'm like, all right, I got to start taking my notes. And I realized that I walked into a college classroom without bringing a pen. So I say to the person next to me, I say, excuse me, do you have an extra pen or pencil I could borrow? Without even hesitating, the person reaches into their bag to grab you an extra pen. Well, now, even before their fingertips touch that pen, just the act of reaching into the bag tells the sender that the receiver has interpreted the message, understood it, and is giving you feedback, the one that you're looking for. So even before their fingertips touch that extra pen or pencil, you've received the feedback you're looking for. The communication is both successful and satisfactory. See, typically, that effective communication doesn't take more than 2 to 3 seconds. Excuse me, get an extra pen or pencil I can borrow? Oh, yeah, sure. And that's it. That's all it takes. So, effective communication is easy. Let's cancel the rest of the semester, right? Well, it's not always that easy. Because as you see on that first Chapter 1 sheet, just below the interactive model is another interactive model. Except it's got all these squiggly lines through it. And what these squiggly lines represent is anything that disrupts the sharing of meaning. Anything that disrupts that message not only being received but also understood. Well, what those squiggly lines represent is what we call noise. Okay? Anything that disrupts the sharing of meaning is called noise. Now, noise comes in all different shapes and sizes. It comes in all different types of communication. For example, there's what we call external noise, or what's also known as physical noise. That's the noise that we typically think about. You know, for example, if I'm lecturing and you're listening to what I have to say and I'm really talking about something important and there's construction going on outside the building and you hear boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that's going to be what we call external noise. Okay? But then there's also what we call psychological noise. Okay? Now, where does psychological noise come from? It comes from right up in here. Okay? Where there might not be any sound around you, yet what's going on up here is disrupting any understanding of what people are saying to you. I'll give you a great example. I'm going to ask you all. I want you to think about this. How many of you have ever tried to talk with someone the very next day after they've been dumped by their boyfriend or girlfriend? Right? What are they like? Okay? They're done. All right? You'll be talking to them. You'll look at them in the face and say, all right, listen, I'm going to go home. I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to come back, and we'll go out for some ice cream. And they'll be like, okay. You come back later and say, you ready to go? And they're like, go where? Because none of the message has registered. Because there's only two things going on inside their head. Either A, how could that person do this to me after everything I've done for them? Or B, how can I slash their tires without them knowing it's me? But otherwise, nothing is really registering. That's psychological noise. As a matter of fact, there's another type of psychological noise that I think a lot of you, unfortunately, will relate to. Now, I'm going to preface this next example by telling you that for about 5 years now, I've been one of my union leaders. The Faculty Association, we have over 300 full-time faculty at Bergen, and I'm one of the union leaders who negotiates the contracts, everything else, elected by my colleagues. And I love my colleagues. I love my colleagues. But sometimes I don't know what the hell they're thinking. All right? Here's what I'm talking about. And some of you, whether you've gone to Bergen or you go to another college, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Let's say you have 2 classes in a row. You have a class that starts at 9:30, goes till 10:45, and then the next class starts at 11. All right? So now you get to your class at 9:25, you sit down, get your notebook out, you're ready to go. 9:30 comes along, class is beginning, you're all set to go. Well, now it's 10:35. Well, now you look at the clock, and now you're starting to put some stuff away in your bag. Now it's 10:40. Now you're starting to take your notebook, fold it up, put it into your bag, your pen, and now you're starting to put your coat on. Now it's 10:43. Now, as you're sitting in your chair, you start to angle yourself to head towards the door. You've got to get to that 11 o'clock class. All right? And then sure enough, that beautiful, wonderful colleague of mine, at 10:44 and 58 seconds, looks at the class and says, wait, don't go anywhere. I got one more thing. And they go on for another 3 or 4 minutes. Well, for you sitting there who's got to go to that 11 o'clock class, what's going on up here as they spend that last 3 or 4 minutes talking about something? Are you paying attention to anything they say? Hell no. What's going on up here? Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. I got to get to class. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Oh, God, I'm never going to make my 11 o'clock class. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Until finally you look at their mouth about to say, okay, boom, and you're gone. You're right out the door. All right? Don't know why my wonderful colleagues do that. And then finally, there's physiological noise. Now, what physiological noise is when something in your body is what disrupts the sharing of meaning. Okay? For example, one of the things that just passed, and it started right before spring break came when we haven't been back since spring break. So right before spring break in early March, it started, where a student will walk in, and of course, right that late February, early March, you start to get the little hay fever, the allergies start kicking in, and a student will walk into class, and they'll be like, and I'm looking at him like, what are you doing here? Because I didn't want to miss your class. And of course you can see there's like this softball-sized ball of snot right here in their sinus cavity. And they're just like, and so they sit down in the front row, and you're trying to lecture them, and you can tell they're not paying attention because they're just looking at you like, I can't breathe. I just want to breathe. So when it's your body that affects the understanding or the listening, that's what we call physiological noise. So now this leads into your assignment sheet. Now the second part of your assignment is you need to write down for me 3 times when you've tried to communicate with someone or they tried to communicate with you, and it was disrupted by each of the different noises. Give me one example where your communication was disrupted by external noise. Then give me another situation that came up where communication was disrupted by psychological noise. And then I want you to give me a situation where your communication was disrupted by physiological noise. Now, that's the second part of the assignment sheet. Let me get to the first part, okay? And of course, as you are reading the assignment sheet, you can see what it is. You're going to come up with these 3 different types of external noise. Here's your scenario. 14-year-old Billy comes home from school. He immediately goes upstairs to his room, shuts his door, starts blasting his stereo. Billy's the only kid left in the neighborhood listens to Nickelback, but he doesn't care. He's going to blast Nickelback. All right? So now his mother downstairs hears that he's home. So she calls up to Billy. She says, Billy, come down here and take out the garbage. No answer. Billy, come down here and take out the garbage. Still no answer. Billy, come down here and take out this garbage. Nada. So, of course, what does mom do? She goes up the stairs, bangs on his door, bum, 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 bum. He flings open the door and says, what are you banging on my door for? She says, well, I've been calling you for the last 10 minutes. He's like, I didn't hear you. And you suddenly have this rise in tension and this conflict created because either the mom or Billy failed to remove the external noise. Now, the first part of your assignment is I want you to tell me, remember, anything that disrupts the sharing of meaning is noise. Give me the 3 type of external noise in the Billy mom scenario. You got your assignment, people. It's due by 8 p.m. tonight, Tuesday, June 30th. Have fun with it. And we'll talk to you soon.